Hello there, students, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are tackling a brilliant piece of literature that is absolutely essential for your upcoming Grade 10 board exam revision. We're looking at Ogden Nash's incredibly funny poem, The Tale of Custard the Dragon. I am absolutely thrilled to help you break this down, because for your boards, you don't just need to know the story. No, you need to deeply understand the underlying literary devices, the tone, and the poet's overarching attitude. Right, let's dive into this masterclass and get you ready to score top marks. Here is our agenda for today. We'll start with 1, meet Belinda and her pets. Move to 2, the fearsome pirate attack. Explore 3, ballad form and rhyme scheme. Then 4, mastering the poetic devices. 5, tone, attitude, and parody. And finish up with 6, board exam key takeaways. Right then, let's jump straight into section 1, meet Belinda and her pets, setting the stage in that famous little white house. Mapping out these characters is an absolute goldmine for your exam. You've got to memorize the cast and their supposedly defining traits because this is the core irony of the entire poem. Think about it. Belinda is described as being brave as a barrel full of bears. Ink the kitten and Blink the mouse supposedly chase actual lions down the stairs. Mustard the dog is brave as a tiger in a rage. But then we have Custard. He's a dragon, a mythical creature literally known for ferocity, right? Yet he is ironically presented as a total coward, constantly crying for a nice, safe cage. This stark, hilarious contrast is the engine that drives the whole narrative. You'll notice straight away that Ogden Nash uses this wonderfully unique informal phrasing. By inventing words like realio, trulio, instead of just saying really, truly, he establishes a playful, rhythmic tone from the very first stanza. As a board exam candidate, you should definitely jot this down as a prime example of poetic license. Nash deliberately bends the strict rules of the English language just to enhance the musicality and the lighthearted mood of the piece. So a classic textbook question you'll likely face is, why is he actually called the Cowardly Dragon? Well, despite having spikes, scales, and a terrifying mouth, Custard's demeanor is just entirely timid. The others rudely call him Percival. Now, Percival was a knight of King Arthur's court who, in some legends, was mocked for being a bit naive and timid at first. They tickle Custard unmercifully and laugh at him, because his scary physical appearance completely contradicts his desire to just hide in a cozy, safe cage. Moving swiftly on to section 2, the fearsome pirate attack, where this incredibly boastful household gets a rather nasty shock. Nash builds up this beautifully stereotypical, nasty pirate to act as the antagonist. Just picture the imagery here. A pistol in his left hand, a pistol in his right hand, a bright cutlass clenched between his teeth, a black beard, and one wooden leg. He climbs in the window, which is another one of Nash's cheeky invented rhymes for window, and it is abundantly clear he means absolutely no good. He's even gulping grog from a pocket flagon. This exaggerated, cartoonish villain is perfectly designed to test the so-called bravery of Belinda's pets. And here is the crucial moment of truth. When actual, terrifying danger arrives, those brave boasts completely evaporate. Belinda turns pale and cries for help. Mustard flees with a terrified yelp. Ink trickles down to the basement, and little Blink strategically mouseholed. This contrast is a brilliant piece of situational irony that examiners absolutely love to see in your essays. The ones who talk the biggest game are the very first to run, leaving only the supposedly cowardly Custard to face the music. Right, let's pivot sharply into the literary analysis with section 3, ballad form and rhyme scheme, which is essential for your higher level marks. You absolutely must understand that Nash structures this entire piece around a traditional narrative format called a ballad. Historically, ballads were passed down orally and usually told these grand, serious tales of knights, dragons, and heroic deeds. Nash adopts this exact structure to tell a story with a clear beginning, middle, and end, featuring a few central characters and a very strong, driving rhythm. But, as your textbook highlights, this poem takes that serious, heroic ballad structure and just flips it entirely on its head for comedic effect. It is a humorous ballad, edging very close to a parody. Instead of a brave knight slaying a terrible beast, we have a timid dragon eating a cartoon pirate to save a group of boastful cowards. It's just brilliant subversion. Take a second and think about the rhyming words at the end of the lines. House and mouse, wagon and dragon. The poem follows a remarkably strict ABB rhyme scheme throughout. This regular, bouncing rhythm is what makes the poem so incredibly fun to read aloud, And it perfectly mimics the traditional musicality of a ballad, driving the narrative forward at a galloping pace. Moving right along to Section 4, Mastering the Poetic Devices. Let's dissect the specific tools Nash uses here. Similes are heavily employed in this text, and you will undoubtedly be asked to identify and explain them on your paper. Just as a quick refresher, a simile is a direct comparison between two unlike things using like or as, creating a really vivid picture in the reader's mind. Notice how Nash uses similes to instantly transform Custard's character during the climax. When the dragon finally attacks, he is snorting like an engine, giving him this mechanical, unstoppable power. He clashed his tail like irons in a dungeon, invoking these heavy, metallic, frightening sounds. And my favorite, he went at the pirate like a robin at a worm. It's such an unexpected comparison, turning the fearsome pirate into a helpless, tiny little piece of prey. These similes are explosive and utterly change our perception of Custard. Beyond similes, think about the rich visual imagery Nash paints, which is another key analytical point for your exams. Earlier in the poem, he describes Custard having a mouth like a fireplace and a chimney for a nose, with daggers on his toes. This creates a terrifying visual picture that perfectly, ironically, contrasts with his gentle, cowardly personality. It's an absolute masterclass in using descriptive imagery to build up that comedic irony. Let's dive into Section 5. Tone, attitude, and parody. Pay attention because this is where you secure those really top-tier analysis marks. We mentioned parody earlier, and it's vital you know the formal definition, an imitation of a style with deliberate exaggeration for comic effect. By making the terrifying dragon a sniveling coward and the tiny mouse a fierce lion chaser, Nash creates a brilliant parody of those serious medieval dragon-slaying ballads. He uses the formal trappings of heroic literature to tell a fundamentally silly story. And that gap between the serious form and the ridiculous content is exactly where the humor lives. The famous author Anthony Burgess put it perfectly when he said Nash didn't care much about breaking poetic laws. The attitude of the poet is undeniably playful, almost mischievous. He respects the craft enough to use complex rhythms and forms, but he absolutely does not take the subject matter seriously at all. He loves bringing together the informal and the formal. You can literally see this fusion of formal and informal when you break it down. On one hand, you have the highly formal structure, the strict ABB rhyme scheme, the classic narrative arc, the distinct verses. But on the other side, you have this wildly informal language. Nash actually turns mousehole into a strategic verb. He rhymes winda with Belinda. It is this exact fusion of the formal structure and the delightfully absurd language that gives the poem its unique, lighthearted tone. Right, to wrap up this explainer, let's look at Section 6, Board Exam Key Takeaways. Let's consolidate everything you need. Make sure you have these essential study points completely locked in your memory for your revision. You must know the character names and their ironic traits, be ready to define and apply the terms parody and ballad, be able to identify and unpack those explosive similes, and critically, do not forget the cyclical ending. After Custard saves them all and they briefly celebrate, the pets immediately return to their empty boasting and Custard goes right back to crying for a safe cage. Human or animal nature, it seems, rarely changes. I'll leave you with this classic exam question to ponder. But beyond just passing the test, think about what Nash is really saying about us. Are the loudest boasters usually the first ones to run away? And does true bravery only reveal itself when there is no nice, safe cage to hide in? Use your analysis of tone, parody, and similes to build a brilliant argument. Keep revising, trust your preparation, and I'll see you next time on The Explainer.